Why your salary doesn't really feel like it grows, but your grocery bill, your rent, your daily expenses keep climbing higher and higher? You might think it's just inflation, or simply how the economy works. But behind all of this, there is a powerful institution quietly shaping your financial reality every single day. It's called the Federal Reserve, and the strange truth is, most people don't fully understand what it is or how deeply it affects their life. The Federal Reserve, or simply the Fed, is the central bank of the United States. But don't let that name confuse you, because even if you don't live in America, its decisions still ripple across the entire global economy, including your country, your city, and even your personal wallet. Now here's the key idea. The Federal Reserve doesn't control your money directly, but it controls something far more powerful. It controls the cost of money itself. Think about that for a moment. Money is not just paper or numbers in your bank account. Money is something people borrow, lend, and circulate. So when money becomes cheap to borrow, people and businesses spend more freely. But when money becomes expensive to borrow, everything slows down very quickly. And this is where the Fed quietly steps in. It adjusts something called interest rates. Now imagine interest rates like the price tag of borrowing money. If that price goes up, loans become expensive. Home loans, car loans, business loans, credit cards, everything becomes harder to manage. If that price goes down, borrowing becomes easy, even tempting. And without realizing it, your entire lifestyle starts shifting based on these invisible decisions. But the real power of the Fed is not just in interest rates, it's in how those decisions shape your job, your savings, and your future plans. When interest rates go up, companies slow down hiring. They cut costs, delay expansion, and become cautious. When rates go down, companies expand aggressively. They hire more, invest more, and take bigger risks. So whether you get a job offer, a promotion, or even a layoff, it may not only be about your performance, it may also be part of a much bigger economic wave created far away in a room full of policymakers and economists. And here's the most interesting part. Most people never connect these dots. They think, I'm struggling because of my situation or my skills, but in reality, they are living inside a system that is constantly being adjusted like a giant invisible control panel. And the Federal Reserve is one of the main hands operating that panel. Now you might be thinking, why does such a system even exist? To understand that, we need to go deeper into how money actually works and why inflation never really disappears. And that's where things get more surprising, because the Fed doesn't just react to the economy, it actively shapes the direction of the economy before most people even feel the change. Imagine the economy like a giant engine. If it moves too slowly, jobs are lost, businesses struggle, opportunities shrink. If it moves too fast, prices rise quickly, money loses value, and everything becomes expensive. So the Federal Reserve tries to control this balance, like adjusting the speed of that engine. But here's the catch. The tools it uses are powerful, but not perfect. One small change in interest rates can affect millions of people at the same time. If rates rise too quickly, borrowing stops, people delay homes, businesses cancel plans, investors panic. If rates stay too low for too long, money becomes too easy, and prices start rising uncontrollably. That is inflation. And inflation is not just a number on the news. It directly affects your daily life. Food becomes more expensive, rent increases, savings lose value over time. Even if your salary increases, it often doesn't increase fast enough to match rising prices. So it feels like you are running, but staying in the same place. And this creates a silent pressure in everyday life. But the influence doesn't stop there, because interest rates don't just affect loans and inflation, they also affect global money flow. Investors around the world always search for the safest place to put their money. So when U.S. interest rates rise, global investors move their money into the U.S. This strengthens the dollar, but weakens other currencies worldwide. And when the dollar becomes stronger, imports, fuel, technology, and food chains become more expensive elsewhere. So a decision made in one country can influence prices in another country thousands of miles away. Most people never see this connection. They just feel prices rising without knowing why. But now you can start seeing the pattern. Nothing is completely random. Everything is connected through systems, policies, and financial flow. And the Federal Reserve sits at the center of one of the most powerful systems in the world. But here's something important. This is not about conspiracy. The Fed is not targeting individuals. It is trying to stabilize an entire economy of millions of people. But in doing so, the effects naturally reach your personal life. That's the paradox. A system built for stability creates uncertainty at the individual level. So what does this mean for you? It means awareness is power. When you understand how these cycles work, you stop reacting emotionally to money changes and start thinking more strategically. You understand why timing matters, why saving matters in certain periods, and why borrowing can be risky at others. You start seeing patterns instead of confusion, and most importantly, you stop feeling like everything is random. Because once you see the system, you don't feel controlled by it in the same way. Instead, you learn to move with it, and that changes everything. In the next part, we'll go deeper into how these decisions shape global power, technology growth, and your long-term financial future. But for now, just remember this: the world is not random. It only feels random until you understand the system behind it. Most people hear the word inflation and think it's random. Prices go up. That's just how things are. But inflation is not random. It is heavily influenced by decisions made at the Federal Reserve. Let's break this down in a simple way. When too much money flows into the economy, prices rise. When money becomes tight, the economy slows down. So the Fed tries to balance this like a steering wheel, constantly adjusting pressure to keep the system stable. But here's where your life gets directly affected in ways most people never notice. When inflation rises too fast, the Federal Reserve increases interest rates. That might sound like a technical financial move, but the real impact is very personal. Your credit card debt becomes harder to manage. Your home loan becomes more expensive. Even business loans become costly, forcing companies to rethink their plans. And when companies start feeling pressure, they don't just adjust numbers on a spreadsheet. They start cutting expenses. And what is usually the biggest expense for most companies? Jobs. So suddenly, without you doing anything wrong, the job market becomes tighter, more competitive, more uncertain. People start feeling like, I'm applying everywhere, but nothing is working anymore. But in reality, it's not just about competition. It's a signal of a cooling economy. Now let's flip the situation. When the economy slows down too much, the Federal Reserve lowers interest rates. Now, money becomes cheaper to borrow. Businesses start taking loans again. Companies feel confident enough to expand. And when companies expand, they hire more people. They invest in new projects. They take more risks again. So suddenly, job opportunities increase, income feels more stable, and the entire economy feels more alive again. But this cycle is not random at all. It repeats over and over, like waves rising and falling. And your personal life, your career, even your financial confidence moves along with those waves, whether you realize it or not. But there's something deeper happening here, because these decisions don't just affect money, they affect human psychology. When people feel financially secure, they naturally spend more. They buy homes, upgrade lifestyles, take risks, and plan for the future. But when people feel uncertain, they do the opposite. They save more, they delay decisions, they become cautious, sometimes even fearful. And this emotional shift is powerful because markets are not driven only by numbers, they are driven by human behavior reacting to those numbers. Think about it carefully. A small change in interest rates can influence whether a young couple decides to buy a house now or waits 5 more years. It can determine whether a startup gets funding and grows or runs out of cash before it even begins. It can even shape whether someone feels confident enough to change careers or stays stuck in the same job. And here's the part most people never realize. The Federal Reserve doesn't need to directly control your choices. It doesn't tell you what to do. It doesn't send instructions. It doesn't interfere in your personal life. Instead, it controls something far more powerful. It controls the environment around you, because in that environment, your decisions begin to shift naturally. When money is cheap and confidence is high, you take risks. When money is expensive and uncertainty rises, you become careful. And slowly, without noticing it, life starts moving in a direction shaped not by force, but by conditions. Not because someone is controlling you, but because the system itself is guiding behavior through incentives. And that is the real power of monetary policy. It doesn't force outcomes, it influences them. And once you understand this, you start seeing life differently. You realize that many of the personal struggles people experience are not always personal at all. They are often part of a much larger economic cycle. Now think about this for a moment. If entire job markets can tighten or expand based on interest rates, if housing decisions can change based on inflation, if global prices can shift based on a single policy decision, then the world you live in is far more connected than it appears on the surface. And most people walk through that system every day without ever seeing the structure behind it. But understanding this doesn't mean fear, it means awareness. Because once you understand the system, you stop reacting blindly to it. You start recognizing patterns. You start timing decisions better. You start thinking ahead instead of only reacting. And that small shift in awareness can completely change how you navigate money, career, and opportunity. Because now, you're not just reacting to life, you're reading it. And that makes a huge difference. Now zoom out even more. Because this same mechanism doesn't just affect individuals, it affects entire countries. Interest rate decisions in one place can influence global investment flows, strengthen or weaken currencies, and reshape international trade without a single direct command. That means your local prices, your job market, your business environment can all be influenced by forces far beyond what you see day to day. But again, this is not about control in the personal sense. It is about structure. A system designed to stabilize economies creates ripple effects that shape everyday life. And that is the paradox of modern finance. Stability at the top creates movement everywhere else. And in the final understanding, one truth becomes clear. The influence is not direct, it is environmental. And once you see that clearly, you stop asking, only what is happening to me? And start asking, what is the system doing around me? That single shift in thinking is where real financial awareness begins. Because once you understand the system, you are no longer just inside it blindly. You are observing it, learning it, and moving with it. And in that awareness, you gain the one advantage most people never have: perspective. And that changes everything. Everything we've talked about so far, interest rates, inflation, jobs, spending, now zoom out. Because the Federal Reserve doesn't just affect one country, it affects the entire global financial system. When the Fed changes interest rates, investors around the world react instantly. Money flows in and out of countries like water. Stronger dollar, other currencies weaken. Higher US interest rates, investors pull money from developing economies. That means stock markets in different countries, housing markets, even startup funding can shift because of a single policy change. Now think about your everyday life again. The price of imported goods, fuel costs, food prices, technology prices, all of these can be influenced indirectly by global capital movement, and most of it starts with decisions made in one place. But here's the most important truth. This system is not designed to target individuals. It is designed to stabilize economies. However, the side effect is that individuals feel controlled even if no one is directly controlling them. That's the paradox. A system built for stability creates unpredictability in personal life. So what can you do with this knowledge? You don't need to fight the system. You need to understand it. Because once you understand how money moves, you stop reacting emotionally and start thinking strategically. You begin to see patterns, why borrowing becomes risky in certain times, why saving becomes powerful in others. and why timing matters more than effort alone in some cases. Most people live inside financial cycles without even knowing they exist. But you are now seeing the pattern, and that alone changes how you make decisions going forward. Because awareness is the first step to financial control. Not control over the system, but control over your response to it. Now, if this made sense to you, then the next step is simple. Start paying attention not just to prices, but to why prices are changing. Because behind every number, there is a decision. And behind every decision, there is a system shaping your reality. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe, because we break down complex systems into simple truths you can actually understand. And remember, the world is not random. It only feels random until you see the pattern. See you in the next one.